All right, here we are for part 2 of the very exciting conclusion to replacing the thermal compound on the Predator PH315. Now I already have all the screws out and they're lined up, so I know where they go. And we are looking at the undercover here. So this is what your machine looks like while it's all taken apart. The next thing that we need to do is get the fans out and then get these heat sinks off. And there's going to be a little bit of wire routing and things of that nature that go right along with this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I did use some basic tape over here, and you can watch the previous video if you're curious how all of this is held up over the past 365 days. Now I'm just going to start with this fan that I installed yesterday. This worked fine, by the way. The results were great. They were just as I expected, which is awesome. And I went ahead and decided I'll leave my fingernails long so I can get these things out easier. Not gonna lie, I planned a little bit. Planned ahead just a tiny. The hell? What's going on here? I don't know what's holding this thing up right now. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this to happen. It is caught on something like there's a screw or something under there, but I know there isn't. It must have been stuck under this flap. So when I installed it, I must have skirted this directly under that little flap. That's the only thing it can be held up on. That's so weird. All right, so I'm setting that guy aside, and we'll take this other side out. Anyone who's new here, I film all the struggles just so you get an idea, a sense of what you're getting into. I do all of this in one take, but I promised myself I will start making cuts on these because they just get too long otherwise. Now again, if you're joining from a different video, this is the fan that I replaced around a year ago in the original video, and it has been doing just fine. Whew. That is pretty serious about staying on there. I promise not to clean too much, but like that's easy pickings right there. We're gonna go ahead and take that out. There's actually some spider eggs in here, which is dope. You guys like spiders? Oop. Okay, so that is 4 screws, and then we are looking at a number of other screws to get the cooling system off. There's going to be a little bit of wire rerouting, so I'm just trying to take note of that before I get too far along here. That doesn't appear to be attached to these guys, so I'm going to start taking these ones off, and I see one screw that's a different color, which I might just go ahead and start with that guy. And during this process, I already know there could be some thermal pads that need to be replaced, so we'll see. Another good thing to note is These happen to have a number combination, so I'm going to start with number 1. That way when I put them back together, I can just follow the numbers along. That one's 1, this one down here is 2. We're going to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't see a number 8, so I'm going to gently pry on this and see if it will come off. Since this looks like it's all one unit, I'm going to start from the thickest part. Just start giving it a little tug. Okay, so starting from this tab here, I've got a nice crack on the seal all the way back. This all feels like it's moving together. Oh. I'm gonna route the wires now. So again, I started from this edge, moving these wires over, holding it again, and moving this other wire. I'll show you in just a second. Oh, it's got just a little bit of tape there. It's a bunch of tape. Okay. On this side here, I had to tear a little piece off right here, and there was tape on this section. That's just torn off, and it is from this guy. Little piece of tape holding this wire onto the cooler overall. So here's the bottom side. As you can see, all the little thermal pads. One has fallen off, and this is compound. Interesting. Or those pads. Ooh. I've got pads that could go on there. These are definitely pads here. So it looks like it's got additional little heat dissipation spots. Some of these pads came off here, and there's our last one on each of these little ram junkies. That one didn't get one though, that's kind of interesting. So, okay. Cool. Makes it easy. These are the bits we're going to be cleaning up, 1 and 2, and then all these RAM modules around are going to need a little help as well. So I'm going to start working on those. And I might... I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Yes, I do. I'm basically going to start with a little piece of toilet paper, or preferably some, what's it called? Like a paper towel or something. Or maybe you went as far as purchasing a cloth. But dang. This is normally like a paste. But here you might be able to see as I'm taking this off, it's behaving more like a chalk. And I'm actually going to switch our focus a little bit so you can see better what I'm doing. So I've just got a toothpick here. I'm sorry if I'm wiggling the camera all around. Oh, dude. It's so crusty. All of that stuff, I would like it to come off and fall into one area. It's not bad. I prefer it didn't go on these pads, but I'm having kind of a tough time. So it kind of got on these pads a little bit. I mean, it'll be okay. These pads will be able to absorb all that. I'm not too worried about it, but I am just going to try to keep this as clean as possible. This stuff, as a little health warning, is really bad for your eyes, your mouth, anything like that. And just keep that in mind. It's really easy to deal with, though. You could just wash your hands after you're done. All right, so that gives you an idea of cleaning up the primary pads. Yeah, they're going to be pretty easy. I just could mess that up more. And then I want all of this pink off as well. This one's probably okay. It still has some of that. Oh, see, I just touched it. It's coming apart, but it's not so brittle. So ultimately, it's actually okay. It's going to be up to you how much of this you want to actually replace. And I bet the thermal compound would work just fine on those. You just have to make sure that it's making contact. Because if it's not, it will tell you by crashing. And that's not ideal. Like, bro. This might be the last time I use this this pad. I don't know. I don't know if that'll clean up. I don't know if it's ever going to look good again. Now, if I'm shaking this around, I'm hoping the cameras feel somewhat steady because they're on the same surface, but like, I'm just doing my best here, cleaning all this off. You could certainly be more thorough, but I've done this quite a few times and I know what to expect. Wow. Okay. So I'm just kind of just making it look right. I'm gonna leave that one. It's fine. Cool. So at this point, it's really straightforward. Either you're going to cut different pads for these, and you'll be able to put your pads right on there, which I think is what I'm going to do. Or you can use your poison, your product of choice. So the intention is to put the Thermal Grizzly on the two processor spots, or directly on the processors themselves. This should not be conductive. They give you the option to install it with a P style, an X, or the spreader itself. And I'll go ahead and use the spreader because I've seen the benefits of it and it makes sense to me. I'm going to go ahead and do this. These parts are not super, what's the word, like, I mean, it's gonna be fine. You know, it's gonna be fine. These come in these squares. Oh, I do want to get an idea of what these are going on to. Oh, good thing I did. I'm going to do this in reverse order. I'm going to take those off. So, option A is you can put them directly on the cooler. Option B, you can put them directly on the chip. which I'm glad I looked because these chips are dirty. So we're gonna set the cooler aside for a moment and bring the laptop back in. Because laptop. Yeah, dude, these don't feel... These are kind of like... These things are looking at me, they're like, bruh. So I'm going to attempt to catch these the best that I can. Chalk. You know what I'm saying? This is the ASMR section. Anybody who's looking for that auditory experience. Alright, whatever. Ooh. Set that off to the side. Get back to our working surface here. And then obviously these need to be cleaned up as well. There is a ridge here. Oops. It's still kind of gummy. So that, you know, like the RAM was definitely worse than the processor. Oh, a little tidbit of information. Sometimes when your machine stutters, it could be caused because of RAM overheating. Oh wow, this is the NVIDIA chip here. I was expecting that this was the Intel. Oh, neat. Okay, so we're gonna go like this. Try and capture as much of that as possible. And then I think we'll wipe the other majority of it away with a towel. On the GPU, I'm going to be really careful not to put too much pressure because of whatever this is. Obviously some sort of shielding. I'm not aware of its full purpose. and I don't normally take GPUs apart, so I don't have a bunch of extra information to offer on that. But in general, if you're gentle enough, things will be happy. So we're just going with that. So that last bit there. Anyway, that's going to be an improvement, as is that. And we'll keep going on here. So again, some of these thermal pads are going to be totally fine. I want to see all of these, and these pads are fine to reuse. Those ones have them. These thermal pads got a little weird down here. I'm just relaying those down so they're back in line. And then I think that my little pads can go on these guys and they'll be just fine. I'm gonna look at the clearance. Man, I could be wrong about those. Let me just look. These little pads are stinkers too. They'll want to tear and stuff. The other thing I'm thinking of that I'm probably not saying out loud is I am currently looking at the thickness here. How thick does this chip sit versus where these pads will be? And if that seems like it's too much of a discrepancy, then I'll probably just use the thermal paste on those. And again, looking at the actual cooler, we're gonna see. None of this wants to cooperate here. I think there's actually too much of a gap there, so I'm not going to let this fly. Oof. Everything's sticking again. Okay, so instead of adding the pads, I am going to put the thermal compound on each of these, which may be overkill a little bit, but that gap is just a little too thick, so it's gonna have to be okay. Now once again, I'm getting my fingernail in there through the cloth just to get any other impurities that may be on there. Most people are going to do that with a cotton swab and an isopropyl or rubbing alcohol. Highly recommended. I promised my son I would get this back to him quickly. So the other thing that this expresses is that this is not like a perfect science, and like you're okay. You can do it. for something completely different. So this portion of the cooler is not used at all because this is a 1660 Ti. It doesn't have its other 2 RAM, so that's the reason that that thermal compound is on there and is still good. So now at this point, we just put her back together. And I mean, shoot, all said and done, I told my son this was going to take around 30 minutes. And I was expecting up to an hour, including the recording part. But I think we're right on track here. So I'm going to put these down 1 through 7 in that order. That way I know they're going on right, and it does the torquing at the same time. Puts the pressure on the right spots. It's almost like a lug nut pattern. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 and 7. All right. The wires look fine to me. Oh, there's a piece of tape back here somewhere. It's a bit of a seal. So that's good. That is still plugged in. You know, obviously at the beginning of this, I unplugged the power just like I should. That way you're not getting electrocuted. And stickers, that's fine. White buddy goes there. Black friend is there. Real quick, I am going to blow out these fans or the heat sinks with my air blower, and that's sure to be a little nasty. Beautiful. Now that that's all done, okay. Oh, nice, I had something on my hand. The main screws are back in place, and I'm just going to apply a little additional pressure to make sure everything seals up properly. And then we drop the fans back in. That one already had the expensive Scotch tape. Matt. On this fan over here, there is a little bit of this non-conductive tape holding the fan plug in place. So I'm just reworking that since I can't really show you that great. And I'm putting the tape back over it. I mean, it's just a finishing touch at this point because it's not something that's critical to any part of it. I mean, that is not gonna keep the fan from, I guess, coming loose. Also, the physical size of the machine won't allow the fan to really come out, even if it was to come loose or something. Oh. This one might need a little help staying stuck. Just because if this was something that wasn't, you know, moving or being moved around, then yeah, maybe like that would be fine. Oh shoot, I'm missing a screw. Is that, oh, that's this one. Just kidding. Okay. Again, this is the fan that I've got, the one that I replaced from over here. So this system, we're approaching a few years old on this guy, and the thing is, the system's awesome. It is a strong 1660 Ti. It is a really nice variant, so we're gonna keep rolling with it. I will remember to plug that power in because I was just reminded that it's even there. And mine doesn't happen to have the HDD tray, but that should be okay. So I think it's ready to test. I just want to make sure with any screws. Yeah, there. Okay, battery is plugged in. We're going to boot it up real quick to see how it goes. There's a fun little detail here. It's got a little caution sign. It's got these little hot arrows pointing towards the back. It's fun. It's fun for my son, you know? He likes that. This startup noise per standard. Alright, the machine still works. It's got a couple things to get through, and then I'll be able to see its idle temps. OneDrive is not signed in. Boop. Predator Sense is starting up. Ooh, baby. CPU is 45 Celsius. GPU is 37. System overall is 30. Obviously, we just started it up. As you'd expect, those temperatures are climbing. I want them to chill at about 60. I don't want them moving much past that. It's just under normal conditions. So the CPU fan looks like it popped the temperature down from 50 down to 48. So that's nice. GPU is up to 39. It just bumped down to 38. And the system overall is 32. CPU is now 41. So it's doing its thing. The fans are at CPU 2460 and GPU 2040. Those are RPMs. So that's really respectable. Basically, I'll give it to my son and let him continue playing with it, and we'll see how it does from there. And you know what? We're going to continue mining on it a little bit too. And we'll just kind of compare the temps. I have a feeling that this should help quite a bit. That thermal paste that was on the memory modules was really thrashed, so should be a decent improvement. Overall, I've been very impressed with this laptop, and I think I'm going to pick another one up. They do such a good job of their price point, their longevity. This one has so many internal options. It's got 2 NVMe spots and a 2.5-inch SATA. So great upgradability. Among the best. But that does it for the Predator. Anybody looking to pick one of these machines up, this is a worthy upgrade. It should keep your temperatures down. Let me know how I did. Be sure to leave a comment. I always try to reply to everybody. So leave me a comment, show me some engagement, like the video. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking around. I'll see you guys later.